go first to Ethan. In the past year, we have seen Illinois get such a black eye with Blagojevich, even more than just the past year. And we as Republicans can't even say it's them, not us. We have our own black eyes that we carry because of things that have been done that are unethical. What will you do once you are in the White House to make sure that ethics has a priority?
I have fought for real ethics reform here in Illinois. I was one of the 59 senators that stood up to serve as a juror and then serve as one of the votes to remove Rod Blagojevich from office and in his impeachment trial. And I've been pushing for real ethics reform here in Illinois. Unfortunately, the current Democratic leadership does not allow that to move forward. I'm going to continue that fight for you. Out in Washington, D.C., we need to do some of the same cleanup that's happened out there. I believe we do need term limits for congressmen. I don't think term limits are the whole answer, because I think a term limit for Bill Foster, I think one term is way too much for that guy. So term limits don't completely solve it. We need an active, involved electorate who are energized, educated, and get out and vote. So make sure we do that on February 2nd or sooner. I think we do need term limits, especially on leadership, but also on everyone else. I'd also like to see a ban on all members of Congress from being able to go into lobbying. I think there's just a conflict of interest there, and also a ban on family members from lobbying. And finally, I think we really need to change earmarks. We've seen such abuse in the last 20 years by both parties of using earmarks as a way to get votes on something. That idea of, you report back to your district if you'll vote for this horrible legislation. I'm opposed to that. I would fight against that. I've signed a pledge that I will fight against illegal earmarks. I want an open process where people can actually see what we're voting on and have that accountability. Ultimately, that's what we need in ethics reform, is accountability, where once again we realize that this is not ours to hold, that these congressional seats are yours. It's the people's seat. And that is so important, to get congressmen and congresswomen who are committed to that idea, that they're fighting for us, not lining their own pockets. Last, real quick, they need to abide by the same exact laws that they pass for the rest of us. Congressmen absolutely have to abide by those same laws and not exempt themselves or exempt entire states from laws that are being passed. So we need that type of fairness, and that will start the process of cleaning up ethics in Washington, D.C.
With this question, we'll start with Randy. We saw just some great things happening in the Republican Party with the new election of Mr. Brown and with previous elections for governorships, and we're seeing that the Republican Party is again becoming energized and getting excited about what's taking place in politics, and deciding that if they want to have a voice, they need to get out there and get involved and help people get elected. So what do you think needs to be done to energize people so that Republicans can get back in power in the White House?
Well, to be honest, Obama and Pelosi and Reid are energizing people for us. What we need to do is just respond to that and say, you know what, we hear you. As a Republican Party, we hear you loud and clear. My fear is that we fall back into this establishment mindset that Republicans have fallen into in the past, of saying, you know what, we're Republicans, but we're just going to act just like Democrats. And that is what got us in trouble. We were given a great opportunity in 1994, and my feeling is, honestly, you know, we did some good things there. We also squandered a great opportunity to address real problems that are affecting people. If we get the opportunity again, we cannot squander it this time. We need to listen. This Tea Party movement is real. These are our voters that are upset. They want us to get back to the idea of smaller government, common sense principles where you don't spend money if you don't have it. You don't spend money that you don't have. You are responsive and responsible to the people who elect you. And this isn't anything that you own or can give to somebody else. This is the people's seat in Congress and in the Senate. And we're seeing that spoken loud and clear out in Massachusetts. So I'm inspired, I'm excited, but now we have to decide, what are we going to do with it? And what I think we need to do is get back to what our roots are, and it's that idea of being responsive to the people who elect us, making sure that we're looking out for their interests and not the interests of elected officials. When they get out to Washington, D.C., there's something that happens to them when they cross over the Potomac River, that all of a sudden now they feel like this is about them rather than being about you. And so that is what's so important for the Republican Party, to get that message loud and clear. If we don't, we've seen polls already, that if there's a third party, a Tea Party, it actually outpolls Republicans. These are our voters. We need to respond and say, we need you. We need to come together. And that is something I know I can offer in this election, is saying we can bring the Republican Party back together again. We can bring people who have been involved in this party and people who are really frustrated with the direction of things going together. We need all Republicans and some independents who are also frustrated to beat Bill Foster. And that's what's got to happen in November.